What is up, everyone? Welcome back. And today we have a special video that I'm excited for because this post on Reddit is called Occupying a State, but it contains an excerpt from Neville's The Perfect Image. And I had originally heard this passage. I wasn't sure what it was from. I had seen a video on YouTube with this excerpt in it. The video was titled Proceed from the Desired State. And when I first heard this, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. As a matter of fact, it may have been one of the most poignant phrases or things that I've heard, little nuggets that I've taken from Neville's teachings. And with that being said, that's why I'm excited to bring it to you, because the post had since been deleted off YouTube, and now I found it here. So here it is. This morning, I read The Perfect Image. In it, Neville speaks a lot to the promise and how his words have changed over the years because his experience has. He says, "Tonight some friends are here who haven't heard me speak in a number of years. When they were last with me, I was speaking only of the law, as the promise had not fulfilled itself for me. So for their sake, let me say, the promise is the law on a higher level, and the law is very simple. I have not experienced the promise, so we'll focus my posts on the law." So that's the OP posting here. So again, in quotes, "There are infinite number of states: the state of health, the state of sickness, the state of wealth, the state of poverty, the state of being known, the state of being unknown. All are only states, and everyone is always in a state. A state is your present sense of self, how you see yourself, how you view the world, your assumptions, and we are always in a state. If you were to stop now and review your current state, what would you be? Does it align with the life you want? Is it putting yourself in the position you wish to be in? Your inner conversations will quickly identify the state you are in." In quotes again, "We all have one state in which we are very comfortable, so we return to it moments after moment. That state constitutes our dwelling place." I love this piece. Again, the OP here. Our dwelling place is what you receive in life. This is why some say they have negative feelings or doubts, but still manifest what they want. Their dwelling place, the state they most often return, their true belief isn't the doubts, so that's what they receive. This is a very important distinction. I've referred to this before in other videos as your baseline, but essentially, what state do you most often occupy, do you most often return to? What is that story that you are telling yourself? Because we are all repeating to ourselves, whether we realize it or not, we are telling ourselves a story almost all the time. Unless we're engaged with some activity where we are fully present, as long as we're thinking thoughts, we are telling ourselves a story about us and our relation to the world around us and how we see ourselves in relation to the world around us. So here we go. So for others, they dwell most often in doubt, lack of self-worth, self-image or self-concept, being down in the dumps, so this is what they receive. The best part, though, is that your state is all mental. There is not a single circumstance on the outside that can prevent you from being the person you want to be. Seriously, not one. Not another person's belief systems, not your lack of a degree, not you being too ugly, not a single thing. In quotes, "You must mentally adjust your thoughts to proceed from the desired state, all within yourself. You fell into your present state either deliberately or unwittingly. And because you are its life, the state became alive and grew like a tree, bearing its fruit, which you do not like. Its fruit may be that of poverty or distress, heartache, or pain. There are all kinds of unlovely fruit, but you can detach yourself from your unlovely harvest by making an adjustment in your human imagination." So the OP writes here, how can you read that and not feel overwhelming joy and gratitude bubble up inside you? You bring to life what you pay attention to. So put your attention elsewhere, bring to life a new state. And I agree. I mean, this is very well worded here. And Neville uses this kind of poetic language, which a lot of the time I think may kind of get off in the woods a bit and is kind of hard for people to digest. But the way that he's written this here with the analogy of the fruit is really on point, because I liken, and I've said this in videos before, that the mind is a garden, and the thoughts that you are entertaining, the thoughts that you are allowing to spend time dwelling in your awareness are going to bear fruit. They are going to be planted. And negative thoughts, if you want to think of negative or intrusive thoughts, they are the weeds in your garden. And it's our job, if we want to have a nice garden, if we want to create a life of our choosing and not allow the weeds to take over, to go in and take the weeds out and replace them with the beautiful flowers and the things that we want to grow in our life. And that is our intention, that is our thought. And so Neville has beautifully written this here using the same type of analogy. So he says here, ask yourself what you would like to harvest. When you know what that is, ask yourself how you would feel if your desire was ready to harvest right now. When you know the feeling, try to catch it. In my own case, I find it easier to catch the feeling by imagining I'm with people I know well, and they are seeing me as they would if my desire were now a fact. And when the feeling of reality possesses me, I fall asleep in that assumption. At that moment, I have entered a state. Now, I must make that state as natural as I have made my present state. I must consciously return to my new state constantly. I must feel its naturalness, and we've talked about this in recent videos as well, the feeling of naturalness and how important that is, like my own bed at night. At first, the new state seems unnatural, like wearing a new suit or hat. Although no one knows your suit is new, you are so conscious of it, you think everyone is looking at you. You are aware of its fit and its feeling until it becomes comfortable. So it is with your new state. At first, you are conscious of its strangeness, but with regular wearing, the new state becomes comfortable, and its naturalness causes you to constantly return to it, thereby making it real, thereby making it your new baseline, your new dwelling place. And another way to think about this state that he's saying that you return to, is also your self-concept, which is also tied to your belief systems, your beliefs, which is also, again, the story that you keep telling yourself. So harvest equals bring to life. What do you want? Who do you want to be? If you were the ideal you living the ideal life, what would that look like? Notice he says it'll feel unnatural. Keep persisting until it feels natural. I can't explain the feeling, but it just does. It's a calm feeling, and you will know. You can't ask anyone else if you are there, because only you would know. So again, in quotes from Neville. Now, most of us, knowing what we want, construct it in our mind's eye, but never occupy it. We never move into this state and remain there. I call this perpetual construction, deferred occupancy. I call this perpetual construction, deferred occupancy. I could dream of owning a lovely home and hope to go there one day. But if I do not occupy it now in my imagination, I postpone it to another day. I may wish my friend had a better job. I may have imagined him having it. But if I don't occupy that state by believing he is already there, I have merely constructed the state for him, but not occupied it. All day long, I can wish he or she were different, but if I don't go into the state and view him from it, I don't occupy the state. So he remains in the unlovely state relative to me. This is the world in which we live. Anytime someone asks why something didn't work, the above quote holds the answer. Occupy the state. Persist in making your state feel natural, and you'll naturally hold that feeling into the day. I like the phrase proceed from the desired state. You can be what you want to be if you know and apply this principle, but you are the operating power. It does not operate itself. You may know the law from A to Z, but knowing is not enough. Knowledge must be acted upon. Go put it to practice. And yeah, absolutely phenomenal post here. And of course, really the words of Neville, this person found the post, did put some of it in their own words, and I'm adding on to it so that you can really get it like understood, because I think that if you do understand this, it is incredibly, incredibly helpful. So just check the comments out here. I like to describe the feeling of the wish fulfilled as a quiet reassurance, a subtle satisfaction. Definitely, that's a good way of describing it. Yes, that's a great way of putting it. I also lose any desire to visualize or do affirmations, although I do give thanks. Another good point, because you would be the person that's calmly giving thanks when you know that you've received something. So operating from that certainty, operating from that state and proceeding from the state would mean that you're already in that state of gratitude, you're that state of appreciating it. Yeah. So there's definitely other comments in here, but I think that pretty much does it. I think rewatching this again, if need be, just so that it sinks in, and just knowing in the beginning, talking about there are an infinite number of states: the state of health, the state of sickness, wealth, poverty, being known, being unknown. And that's also why I'm very interested in designing these state recipes. I've mentioned that before, but essentially guided meditations that will allow you to enter into that state, combining a relaxation process, combining visualization processes. Like he says, he has his own way of doing it, but doing a guided meditation, in my opinion, or almost a hypnotherapy session, can be so powerful, because then your mind can really go to rest, can really go to sleep. You're not there then having chances to be like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I visualizing this right? Am I seeing it real, feeling it real correctly? It's just, you're just listening to it and absorbing it. And I've done hypnosis and guided meditations from people that have created things, for example, to make you confident, to make you, that's one, at least that I've done, the state of confidence. And they really do work, because they put you in there and they guide you through a visualization. And it's almost like you're giving them permission to do it correctly, because you have this authority, this person that knows what they're doing, guiding you through the process. So I would like to do that right now. I'm still working on this ebook. I'm about to get it out to you guys as soon as I can. It's almost done. And with that being said, I'll make an announcement in the community tab, and it'll be down in the description. Once it is done, it's gonna be absolutely free, but it will give you the tools to overcome your limiting beliefs, essentially. And that's really the goal of that, is then so that you can absorb that new self-concept, proceed from that desired state, like this video talks about, rather than going back to that old story, going back to that old narrative where you're questioning, you're doubting, you're this, you're that, because you have these limiting beliefs that are operating there, that have been planted in that garden that is your mind. This is giving you the tools to weed them out, to remove them. Anyways, guys, much love as always. Drop me a comment, drop me a like, and hit me with the subscribe if you've not done so already. And I will see you guys in the next one.